أعوذ بالله السميع العليم من الشيطان الرجيم بفضل الله بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على خير خلق الله أجمعين محمد اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد وعلى أهل بيته الطيبين الطاهرين واللعنة الدائمة على أعدائهم أجمعين إلى قيام يوم الدين. قال الله سبحانه وتعالى في محكم كتابه الكريم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم يا أيها النبي قل لأزواجك وبناتك ونساء المؤمنين يدنين عليهن من جلابيبهن ذلك أدنى أن يعرفن فلا يؤذين وكان الله غفورا رحيما. صدق الله العلي العظيم. صلوا على محمد وآل محمد. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. The personality of Fatimah al-Zahra salawatullahi alayha is a great example for all of mankind. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us in the Holy Quran that Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam is a uswatun hasana, that he is this great role model for mankind. Fatimah al-Zahra, his daughter, also is this great role model for all of mankind. The ahadith are clear by this. In fact, the Imams place her in a status almost in this hadith above the status of the Imams. When we were speaking in the first couple of nights about the Khalifa and Hujjatullah al-Ard, we have the tradition of the Imams Salamullah alayhim that says that we are Hujjatullahi ala al-Khalq, we are the proof of Allah upon the creation. Wa ummuna Fatima or jaddatuna Fatima hujjatun alayna, that our grandmother Fatima is a proof upon us. The life of Sayyidah Zahra salawatullahi alayha was a short-lived life, 18 years. But within these 18 years, 1400 years ago, the depth, the richness of the lessons that are within the life of this Holy Lady of Light are very pertinent to our life today and to our lifestyles today. The things within her life are so important. Yesterday we touched a little bit on marriage, and we spoke a little bit about how Sayyidah Zahra salawatullahi alayha was in terms of marriage, how her marriage was conducted and how she lived her life. And although it is so long ago, you still see that the points within her marriage are very relevant in this day and age. When we look at the life of Fatima salawatullahi alayha, we see she was an example for every child and every person, and the way that they should treat their parents, for example. Fatima salawatullahi alayha was so excellent to her father, and in fact the majority of people throughout their lives, one of the most important goals that you would love to achieve is to attain the pleasure of your parents. You want them to be pleased with you. Even at a young age, every child acts and does in a manner to try and achieve the pleasure of their parents. That they want to make sure their parents are seeing them. They're running or they're swimming. Father, look at me. Father, watch me jump. Mother, watch me do this. Just to attain that pleasure. Why? Inherently you know that your parents that brought you into this world deserve a certain level of respect. Fatima salawatullahi alayha would look after Rasulullah so well, and he loved her so much that she earned the title of Ummu Abiha, the mother of her father. The Prophet saw her kindness and her respect was so much that he said, you are like a mother to your father. In fact, the tradition says that the wives of the Prophet would tell Fatimah al-Zahra salawatullahi alayha that we enjoy a high status. The Quran says that we are Ummahat al-Mu'mineen, that we are the mothers of the believers. And so Fatimah salawatullahi alayha asked her father that what is my status if they are the mother of the believers? And he says to her, you are the mother of your father. That they have the status as being the mothers of the ummah, but you are the mother of khayr khalqillah, the best creation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Ummu Abiha. So Fatima al-Zahra salawatullahi alayha held this high status. Why? Not for nothing. She was the one that would rush to her father's aid when her father was hurt. She would be the first one that would be next to her father and looking after her father, making sure if he was injured that she could help him in any way that she could. She had such a great and beautiful manner by her father and had such respect for her father. You know, these little things that we see, we take them for granted. We take them for granted in terms of we read dua or we read Hadith al-Kisa, for example. And when you look at the language within Hadith al-Kisa, although Hadith al-Kisa is a narration that has been narrated so many times, and perhaps the final narration that we read is a culmination of all of the narrations. A culmination of all of the narrations. But something that's essential within that narration of Hadith al-Kisa and many of the other narrations is the language that's used between the family. Ya qurrata aini, ya thamarata fuadi. Oh, the apple of my eye, you know. Oh, the delight of my heart. Look at the way they speak unto one another. This is important. Within this alone are valueless lessons. Today, it's not that we speak rudely to one another, we don't speak to one another. It's not that we don't speak rudely, we don't speak. So either through a message, or we communicate through a meme, easier than describing the situation. This is the era that we live in. These are lessons that are age-old lessons, but they're essential. And this is why you have such a relationship. This is why you have functionality in the family of Ahlulbayt. This is this uswa, this role model of a family and a role model of a being like Fatima salawatullahi alayha. Within the life of Sayyidah Zahra salawatullahi alayha, we see the way that she used to interact with her husband, for example, Amir al-Mu'mineen salawatullahi alayhi. And it is important for us to focus on one of the most important things that today is missing. Today, in this day and age, sallallahu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Something that we are lacking, and this is the modesty of Fatima salawatullahi alayha. And in fact, through the life of Sayyidah Zahra salawatullahi alayha, we are taught about this attribute and the importance of this attribute in Islam. The importance of this attribute to humanity, the importance of this attribute particularly to our sisters. That for every woman, this attribute that is long lost, this attribute that has been taken away from our youth, the attribute of modesty. We live in an era where unfortunately modesty is not respected. Modesty is not looked at as a good attribute. And on the contrary, we look towards immodesty and immorality as something that is an accolade, something that is a beneficial attribute where they look at it, oh, whoever can be more immodest, whoever can be more immoral is more famous, equals more likes, equals more views. Subhanallah. This is the era that we live in, yet we have lost something that is this God-given thing that makes not just a person what he is, but a whole society. You see, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala was bringing the people back to an important reality through Fatima salawatullahi alayha. And this reality is that the core of every community and society, the core of them is their women. They're women. Because the women are the mothers. The women are the sisters, the women are the daughters, but most importantly, the women are the mothers. The women are the ones that raise the household, and this is why it's very important. When Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam speaks about the end times, and he stands near the Kaaba, and he talks to Salman, and tells him, should I tell you about what will come, the days to come? You know what the first thing he tells him in that famous narration where he tells him, how will it be when you stop doing Amr bil Ma'roof and you stop doing Nahi an al-Munkar? And he says, will this happen, Ya Rasulullah? He says, Bala, it will be worse than this. What? How will it be when you start doing Amr bil Munkar, that you command people to do bad? When Nahi an al-Ma'roof, and you stop people from doing good? Will it be like that? Bala, Ya Rasulullah. Even worse? The first thing Rasulullah says to Salman is كَيْفَ بِكُمْ إِذَا فَسَدَتْ نِسَاءَكُمْ. And how shall you be when your women are corrupted? That's the first thing. Because the corruption of our sisters is the first step in the downfall. The first step is that. And look at the society we live in. This is at the core of the destruction of our communities and our societies that we live in today. You can see that this is the downfall of Western civilization. It will be the downfall of every civilization. You can't live in a secure community. It's all attached back to this. And even in the nights before when we discussed certain other elements, it all comes back to this, the importance. Why does Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam reiterate when he says أَحْبَبْتُ مِن دُنْيَاكُمْ ثَلَاثَ, I loved from your world three things. At-tib, which is smells, nice perfumes and smells. وَالنِّسَاء وَقُرَّةُ عَيْنِ الصَّلَاةِ. He says nice smells and women, and my favorite thing is prayers. The women is understanding of the weight of a woman, the understanding of the importance of a woman, of the gravity of a woman, that these women and what they make up within society. It's highly important. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us examples of many women throughout history, but the most important of examples and the best of examples was in the daughter of Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Fatima salawatullahi alayha showed us such an example. And this example is something that's not difficult to follow. It's not difficult to follow. If you make the intention and you go towards this, towards the role that Fatima salawatullahi alayha has set about for us, and everybody within their life needs some sort of role model. As human beings, we mimic others. We see things and we copy. This is what we do. Human beings do this, and this is why advertising companies make so much money, and they realize it's a very effective thing. That it's highly effective, that people like to copy what it is that they see or what they know. Particularly with women. Men are also like this as well. But it's something stronger that's within women. If they see another woman doing something, they feel like, yes, I would love to do that thing too. Whatever it is that may be. And so, we need to give ourselves a good role model and someone good to look towards. Not look towards somebody who, imagine this, that sometimes they give titles to certain people. Why? Because other than the title, there is no quality about them. I'll give you an example. You look at the Abbasid Caliphs. All the Abbasid Caliphs, they would give themselves titles because they had nothing good about them. So they'd call themselves Al-Mansur, for example. Or he'd call himself Al-Ma'mun, Al-Amin. You know, all the way back to the first Caliphs, Al-Faruq, Al-Siddiq. They handpick a title for themselves. Why? Because there's no other good attribute about them. Were it not for that title, they have nothing. And like today, same thing. What do we have? We have someone that's a world leader, goes around to a few universities, gets honorary doctorates. He's a doctor from here and a doctor from there. And they're all just honorary doctorates. Or even a billionaire decides to visit a university. Here's an honorary doctorate as well. And they give them these titles that have no meaning. In the same way, today they honor, we honor, society honors people who are licentious, women who have very low morals, and we call them stars. That these are stars. We give them such a wonderful name, Nujum, a star that's in the sky. These are stars of society. People look and say, wow, this person is a star or a superstar. And they look towards that superstar and they think that these things that they do is good. That for them to look the way they look, to show their beauty to the whole world, is something that is a good thing. Them to show us to film the most simple of things that they do, their shopping habits or whatever it is, them catching a bus or whatever they do, is something that is important for the world to see. We take these as role models, we begin the destruction of our own people. The problem is at the beginning phase we don't see this. At the beginning we don't see, they're children and they're just having fun, or this is what they're doing. But towards the end of the phase, when you begin to get old and you don't have much power anymore, As a parent, I'm saying, us, we're the fathers and mothers of society, and then I realize that my son or my daughter is of a certain age and they're not married yet. Why? Not only are they not married, they have no interest in marriage. They're not even interested. They're doing their own things. Oh, I'm busy Baba with whatever it is that I'm doing. And then you think, oh my God, what have I done? Have I cut off this segment of society? Oh, my son or daughter, too busy. They can't make it to the masjid. Too busy. They can't come to the Husayniyah, for example. Why? What have I done? This is what you've done. That you gave them role models that were far from what the real role model is. Fatima salawatullahi alayha, if you see the way she spoke to Amir al-Mu'mineen salawatullahi alayhi, never would she ask him for anything that was too much for him. Never that would she ask him for something that he couldn't handle or he couldn't have. That she doesn't want to push him to his limits. That she wants him to be tranquil. لِتَسْكُنُوا سَكِينَةً. She wants him to have this sakina, Amir al-Mu'mineen. And therefore, she doesn't give him a hard time. In fact, the narration says that Amir al-Mu'mineen salawatullahi alayhi, from when he married Fatima salawatullahi alayha, she had never asked him for anything. And you know, for example, for the people that are parents, and you have young children, when a child is young, as he's growing up, you're waiting for every advancement. When he crawls, this is a milestone. When he or she walks, it's a milestone. You're waiting for them to speak. You love this child so much that you just wish that this child demands something of you. You say to yourself, anything this child tells me, I will get for them. Whatever they say. After they say the words Baba, Mama, and anything they say, you can't wait for them to say anything. Mai, water, and you want to give them water. Or anything that they ask for, you want to give it to them. Amir al-Mu'mineen salawatullahi alayhi had a similar thing about Fatima. Why? She had never asked him for anything, so his whole life he was in waiting for her to ask him for one thing. One day she asked him, she says, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, I feel like a pomegranate. A pomegranate, this is what I feel like. And so Amir al-Mu'mineen rushes out. He's so happy that finally Fatima has told me something she wants. He rushes to get the pomegranate because he's going to bring it to her and he's going to do something for the daughter of his beloved Holy Prophet, his beloved wife Fatima. Runs out, buys the pomegranate. As he's walking back, he sees an impoverished man. The poor man says, please give me, give me. And the heart of Amir al-Mu'mineen salawatullahi alayhi, Amir al-Mu'mineen can't handle to see someone asking him in this poverty. So Amir al-Mu'mineen stops, peels the pomegranate for him, breaks out the fruit from the pomegranate and feeds the poor man. Comes home with nothing. As he's coming home, he's not sure how to face Fatima. The second he walks in the door, Fatima says to him, Alhamdulillah, Allah took this desire out of my heart, that I don't feel like a pomegranate anymore at all. Amir al-Mu'mineen said, Alhamdulillah. This is Fatima salawatullahi alayha. That even when she did ask him for one thing, because the Imam spent it in the right way, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala took that desire for the pomegranate out of her heart. This is Fatima salawatullahi alayha. The moral of this story is Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, وَمَنْ يَتَّقِ اللَّهِ يَجْعَلْ لَهُ مَخْرَجًا. If you do the right thing, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will make a path for you. If you want to go the wrong way about it and over demand of your spouse, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will let you deal with whatever it is that you have made. But the other way, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will open a way for you, He will open a path for you. When we look at the most important category, and the most important, and the reason why generally I know this talk, probably people think this pertains mainly to the sisters, but it doesn't. The sisters are vital in this, but just as important are the brothers. Because the brothers are going to be the fathers one day. The brothers are fathers today. The brothers are brothers today. That they should have some sort of input. They have to understand that they also have a moral duty towards the way that they treat their sisters. They have a moral duty to the way that they raise their daughters. These things are so important, and this is why when we speak about these sorts of issues, they are really at the root of everything. They are the foundation of everything. And so when we come back to what is it that makes a perfect person, what is the most important attribute about a sister? In today's society, the most important attribute about a woman is beauty. In today's society, this is what they show us, that it's about how beautiful she is, how exposed she is. This is the most important category. Sallu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. The most important category is that of the beauty of a woman. And obviously this is something that's it's a fallacy. It's something that is a lie, something that is untrue. And the biggest reason we have this thing being a fallacy is, you have a look at, for example, the actors. Have a look at Hollywood, Bollywood. The actors, the male actors, keep acting until they're 100 years old. And they still use them in top roles. 100 years old, oh, this actor is fantastic, the male. But the female actors, how long? 2-3 years and that's it, she's gone, there's a new one. Prettier, younger, sharper, they put her on. 3 years again, we get rid of her, put another one. And so, I mean, this is it. Because they judge them based just on that category. And this is what, to them, this is what they want to portray the image of what a woman is. And this is the most important attribute of a woman, and it's not. Far from this. Why? We know this because it's something that disappears, goes away. The most important attribute of a sister, of a woman, is modesty. The modesty is the beauty of a woman. This is the true beauty of a woman, is her modesty. Subhanallah, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has made this as the best category and criteria for every woman. And you see the women that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gives us as examples within the Holy Quran. Fatima salawatullahi alayha, for example, the famed tradition of when the blind man enters the house of Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, and Fatima goes into another room and Rasulullah says to her, but he is blind. She says, if he cannot see me, then I definitely can see him. And furthermore, he can smell me. That look at how Fatima salawatullahi alayha finds the importance in modesty. Even when we look towards modern society, a man may live his life however he lives his life. Some of us, we make a lot of mistakes. We make a lot of mistakes. Some of our youth, they make a lot of mistakes. But when it's time for them to get married, what do? They want a modest girl. SubhanAllah. Their whole life where were they? They come back to say, no, we want someone that is modest. The most beautiful thing about a female, the most beautiful thing about a woman, the most beautiful thing about a girl is her modesty. Truly, her modesty is what carries her beauty. And this is such an important attribute, the most important attribute perhaps, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala alludes to this attribute within the Holy Quran. With Sayyidah Maryam salawatullahi alayha, ومريم ابنة عمران التي أحصنت فرجها فنفخنا فيها من روحنا وصدقت بكلمات ربها وكتبه وكانت من القانتين. That Mary, the mother of Nabi Isa alayhi salam, Mary, the daughter of Imran, Mary whom Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave her such a high status that He gave her a miracle birth. That within her He placed His word. Within her He placed this spirit. Was Isa ibn Maryam from what? The verse strictly says, and Mary, the daughter of Imran, that protected her chastity, protected her private, pretty much, her privacy. And so we gave her from us this spirit or this soul, and she believed in the books of Allah and the words of Allah, and she was of the obedient and worshipful. But the core thing here is the modesty of Sayyidah Maryam salawatullahi alayha. Subhanallah. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala brings it back towards this attribute. And this attribute is essential within our brothers, and it's essential within our sisters. But it's something that we really have to look at and understand that the key to our happiness in this world and the hereafter is within this. I'll tell you something I don't want to go too far into the modern statistics, but we were talking about problems that we have within society, modern problems that we have. And of the modern problems that we face today, particularly in the West, particularly in New Zealand, and we mentioned the other day, was the whole issue of harassment. And this harassment and how we can avoid this harassment. A lot of the problems that we face within the West, and we have our fair share of problems in the East without a doubt. But this problem, whether it's in the West or whether it's in the East, they never look towards the root causes. A lot of the time we are applying band-aid solutions. Like, we know that, for example, road deaths, domestic violence, probably the biggest catalyst that we have, the biggest cause, is alcohol consumption. But we can't ban alcohol because there's too much money. So what we do is we just write in fine print, drink responsibly. Have your alcohol, but do it responsibly. And gambling, for example, gamble responsibly. So we just look at a band-aid solution. When it comes towards the harassment of women, again, we turn around and we say, band-aid solution. What's the band-aid solution? We'll legislate. It is illegal. This is now, for example, known as sexual harassment. And they place this as a law in every workplace and every government building and whatever it is. This law, or these set of laws that they place, is not a solution. Why? We're still having the same issues. And these issues, the cost that they have on the community, from every perspective, the psychological cost, the social cost, the economic cost, is huge. It's huge. And this is why I don't really want to go through the statistics. Why? To be honest with you, they're very bitter. They're not very nice. It's not something very nice to speak about in any setting. And this is why I'd rather not go through the statistics of it, but there's big statistics. The issue is, what I really want to pin down on, is I want to pin down on people want to have a happy life. If a girl is modest and she dresses modestly, there's much more chance of her having a happy life. The verse in the Holy Quran, when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala orders the Holy Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam to tell his women folk and the women of the believers, and yudnina alayhinna min jalabibihinna, to place that other on top of their hijab, to place the covering above them. Why? So they may be known. وَلَا يُؤْذَيْنَ, and they won't be harassed. That's what the verse says, simple. Subhanallah, the word is harassment. It says that they may be known that this woman is a private woman. That this woman is a woman that has covered herself. This woman is a woman that is not bait for you. She's not going to put up with your catcalls. She's not going to put up with your comments. She's not going to, because this is what she is. Warning. And you know what happens? This is what happens. They are left alone. The majority of the time they are left alone. Again, God forbid someone thinks that I'm trying to pass the blame. On the contrary, in the Quran it speaks about there are men with diseases within their heart. Of course. But again, wouldn't you rather that safety? Why, for example, one of the laws that we have, if somebody is a child sex offender, they must register. And they register so the police and the authorities know which area they live and where they live. The reason behind this is so that information may be known. But the issue is, I don't know this, you don't know this, so it's better for me to take my precaution. And my precaution is to live a safer life. Why? Because the fallout of an incident such as this happening is so great, and it's so taxing and it's so costly upon the community. The best way for me is to take my precaution. What is that precaution? To wear the best of hijab. To wear a proper hijab. Simple as that. This is the simple underlying message. To be modest. To practice modesty. To teach modesty. To live modestly. And this is one of the lessons, or one of the core lessons in the life of Fatima salawatullah anha. One of the most important messages that is being sent out by the message of Islam and the religion of Islam. Fatima salawatullah alayha, within her life and throughout her life, shows the importance and the weight and the gravity that Islam places upon the modesty of a sister. And we see it today in our worldly lives, in our daily lives, that this is something that's truly important, because you look at the opposite side and what happens. And you look. If we live a life without modesty, have a look. This is what's happening today. The problems that are being faced, other than the social problems that we have, the economic problems that are faced from an aging population, from people not settling down, from people not wanting to live orthodox, normal lives, from people not wanting to procreate, so on and so forth. The difficulties that we face when it comes, for example, to marriage. It's not looked upon as this sacred institution anymore. It's not looked upon as something that is important for our modern lives. No, it's something that's pushed to the side, something that's pushed away. But on these nights when we come and we commemorate, it is important that this message comes out to us, that we have a better understanding of what it is that we're moving towards. A better understanding of how to raise ourselves, of how to raise our families, of how to raise our children. And these things, or these attributes, are embodied in the life of Fatima salawatullahi alayha. They're embodied in the lives of Sayyidah Zainab salawatullahi alayha, and all of the women that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala speaks to us in society about historically, that Allah has favored and placed in a high status. You will find that this is the main attribute. The main attribute about all of these women is their modesty. And that modesty is what led them to the great heights. That modesty is what led them to having such great families, creating good human beings on this earth. After all, as we said, this is the purpose of our life on this earth. To create a good human being on this earth, whether it's by ourselves, making ourselves good human beings, or getting married and moving on to create good and decent human beings. Sallallahu ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad. Fatima al-Zahra salawatullahi alayha, throughout her whole life, she lived a life that was selfless. And you would say Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala bears witness to her selflessness. We see in the verse in the Holy Quran, وَيُطْعِمُونَ الطَّعَامَ عَلَى حُبِّهِ مِسْكِينًا وَيَتِيمًا وَأَسِيرًا. The renowned story of when Al-Hasan wal-Hussein got ill and the house of Ali fasted. And then every day they would get someone knocking on their door. This is the mother of this house. This is the mother of the household that teaches her children and her family to give up everything they have for the need. Such an important story, and it's such a relevant story, that Fatima salawatullahi alayha gave everything that she had. And her children also. One, for example, they gave over the 5 loaves of bread. They had 1 loaf each to break their fast on every night. But rather than just giving 1, which would have been sufficient, no, they gave all 5. Because the brother saw, his brother gave, he wanted to give as well. The mother gave, they wanted to do the same. This action in itself, and this the retelling and reiteration of this story and emphasis of this story in the Holy Quran, is something that teaches us this is the way that we are supposed to raise our children, to be children and families and people that are selfless. This is Fatima sallallahu alaihi wasallam. To always thinking of people other than her before thinking of herself. Fatima salawatullahi alayha, with the dua, 18 years old. This is how old this is when she was martyred. She was 18 years old, but throughout her life, during her youth, during the times when it's important, that she would spend the whole night in prayer and the whole night in dua, asking for Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to give and to forgive to her neighbours and the people around her, until it was asked of her, "Mother, when will you make dua for us?" And she said to them, "Al-jar thumma ad-dua." You do dua for your neighbours first, and then you do dua for yourself. SubhanAllah, it's, the whole if you look at the movement of the whole Islamic faith, the movement of the Islamic faith is to bring a person to the realization that they are part of a broad community, that they are part of a broad society, and the problems of all of society, even if they're not afflicted by them, are problems that are very relevant to them. This is what makes a good human being. And this is why our aqeedah, and this is just a side note, our aqeedah in Imam al-Hujjah Ajjallahu Farj al-Sharif, if you think about it, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad, our dua for the Imam and our prayer for the Imam is not based on a dua and a prayer for something that we want personally. Rather, it's something communal. It's for something for all of society, something for the whole world. So it's not about I want that car or I want to pass my exams. Or, no, it's bigger than this. Ya Allah, let justice reign. Let these people that are like me, that I don't know what it feels like to be in the bottom of a dungeon. Someone is. Ya Allah, bring this Imam to save this man from the bottom of a dungeon. I don't know what it feels like to be hungry. Can't remember the last time I was hungry, honestly. Not even in Shahr Ramadan. With 16-hour days, we still almost don't have enough time to feel hunger. But there's somebody that is. Ya Allah. This is what it's about. Fatima salawatullahi alayha, this is what she's teaching. Fatima, who lived in the most simple of houses. The most simple of houses. Wouldn't even have a painting there. Wouldn't even have that narration where one day she had, I think, that Amir al-Mu'mineen had brought back some war booty, which was like a curtain of some sort, and it was pretty. And the Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam in that narration saw this curtain, he was disappointed. So Fatima immediately removed it and got rid of it. And then when Rasulullah saw her, he said to her, Fidaha abuha, that may your father be ransom to you, O Fatima. That you had this beautiful ornament from this dunya, and you know this is not something that's from us. And when you saw my disappointment, you made it disappear immediately. That nothing for herself or nothing of this world. Obviously this is Fatima salawatullahi alayha of this high status, but it's giving us that example and that role model to follow. Finally, when we look at Fatima salawatullahi alayha, if you remember, the house of Fatima is attached to Masjid Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam. And when Fatima Zahra salawatullahi alayha was oppressed, the interesting thing is that when she went to ask for her rights, when she went and gave her talk, Al-Khutbah Al-Fadakiyah, the famous sermon, where she explained the whole religion and everything, during this period she had already been harmed. Yet obviously the purpose for her to give this discussion is basically to tell them that they can turn back, that it's still not over. Even though whatever they had done, they can still correct it. Still giving them a chance to correct it, even though they had gone beyond the point of no return. They were not worthy. And yet salawatullahi alayha, this is what she did. But imagine in this time of hardship and difficulty, you look at the importance that Sayyidah Zahra salawatullahi alayha laid upon her modesty. Within the khutbah, subhanallah, there's small things within the khutbah of Fatima Zahra salawatullahi alayha that allude to important realities of that time. For example, one is when Fatima salawatullahi alayha was going to leave the house to go to Masjid Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, which was only meters away. You see the hadith say, لَاثَتْ بِخِمَارِهَا عَلَى رَأْسِهَا, that she wore her scarf over her hijab, وَاجْتَمَلَتْ بِجِلْبَابِهَا, and then she laid upon this her chador basically. So she had her full hijab on and then another covering. And then on top of that, she gathered with some women folk from her people, her supporters, her relatives, to stand with her together. Why? So when she walks, it is not known which of these women is Fatima. And then even when she enters Masjid Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, she asks for a partition to be put up. This in itself, subhanallah, that within the narration, rather than saying this is the khutbah, and they begin immediately. No, within that narration, these things are important. These things allude to such important things. Of them is the importance of modesty. Fatima salawatullahi alayha wasn't like others. Fatima salawatullahi alayha is teaching a lesson that even though she is oppressed and it is her duty to come out and speak of this oppression, she does it in a certain manner, a manner of modesty. And then the first thing Fatima does, you know what it is? They say that the first thing Fatima did after this, أَنَّتْ أَنِينًا أَجْهَشُ الْقَوْمِ بِالْبُكَاءِ, that she sighed a sigh that the whole crowd started crying. They started crying so much, just from her sigh. Why? Somebody asked that, was the attack on the house of Fatima before the khutbah, al-Fadakiyah, or after the khutbah? So if it is after the khutbah, they say, why didn't Fatima mention it in the khutbah? And say that this is what happened and they attacked my house, for example. And so one of the historians says that sigh, that she sighed, and the fact that everyone cried is proof that the attack was before the khutbah. And the reason the people cried from that sigh is they understood, oh Fatima, you're oppressed, but we can't say anything, and you can't say anything. This is the truth. This is the pressure that was placed upon them, and the political climate at the time was like this. They were living under oppression and suppression. Wasn't something, even if it was said, it would have been redacted, wallah. Even if it was said, it would have been redacted. And we see these examples today. These political examples where first the government begins by denying doing the wrongdoing. And then they say, maybe we did do a wrongdoing. And then they have the audacity to say, you know what, we did a wrongdoing, but we're the government and we can do whatever we like. And it's all covered. Correct? This is the same thing that we see at the time of Fatima salawatullahi alayha, at the oppression that was faced by Sayyidah Zahra salawatullahi alayha. And it even throughout all of this, the most important thing that lay on the heart and the mind of Fatima salawatullahi alayha was her modesty and the importance of her to stick to her modesty. Furthermore, that when she gave her will to Amir al-Mu'mineen salawatullahi alayhi, and she said to Imam Ali alayhi salam that make sure when I leave this world, bury me at night, and make sure you build me a special ma'ash, a coffin. Fatima al-Zahra, they say salawatullahi alayha, was the first to have a coffin of this type, that before they would just carry the body to bury it, that it would be wrapped in the cotton and that's it. But they never used to put it in like a box. But Fatima salawatullahi alayha, she asked Amir al-Mu'mineen, construct for me a box, so when they put the cotton they can't tell if it is a male or a female. SubhanAllah. Modesty of Fatima al-Zahra, she's thinking about even after death. That after I die, my body the way it is, make sure that you place something above it, but they can't tell, is it a female or a male within this. And this was the first na'sh in Islam. Fatima salawatullahi alayha tells Amir al-Mu'mineen this, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, bury me a night so none of the people that I'm angered with can be there. Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, marry my cousin Asma, because she will be somebody that will be kind to my children. She prepares for everything that she needs before she finishes. The night before she knows she is going to die, salawatullahi alayha, that she is going to leave this world, after the injuries that were inflicted upon her, after spending that period on her bed of injury, that she tells Amir al-Mu'mineen salawatullahi alayhi that make sure you are kind to my children after I am gone. It will be hard for them, they have lost their grandfather and now they have lost me. Please do not shout in their faces. She makes sure that she cleans them up before she goes, showers them, dresses them, gives them food, make sure she makes food, because Amir al-Mu'mineen won't be able to make the food for them after that. She knows, she feels what difficulty will Amir al-Mu'mineen go through after I have left. So she prepares all of this for them, and then she tells her companion, her servant, she says, I am going to do some ibadah, as you know, read Quran. Sit outside the room and listen. when my Quran recitation stops, this means that I have left this world. And so she sits outside and she listens. Sayyidah Zahra is reciting the Holy Quran. And she continues to recite, and then all of a sudden it stops. And so her servant runs in and says, Fatima, are you still with us? Are you here? And she doesn't respond, and she realizes that Fatima has passed, salawatullah alayha. The news reaches Amir al-Mu'mineen, salawatullah alayha, how he's leaving the masjid, and they go and tell him, hurry, rush, it is Fatima. When he hears this, they say that Amir al-Mu'mineen can't even walk because he hears that it is Fatima. Perhaps something has happened. Amir al-Mu'mineen runs home to Sayyidah Zahra, salawatullahi alayha. He gets the body of Fatima Zahra, and he is preparing her for the burial to fulfill her will that she had told him. So he calls his children, Ya Hassan, Ya Hussein, Ya Zainab, Kulthum, come and say goodbye to your mother. Look at her one last time. Fulfill your eyes with your mother. And so they come forth and they're around their mother Fatima salawatullahi alayha. Well, they're hugging their mother, smelling their mother, touching their mother. They begin to cry until Imam al-Husseini is just a child. He says, Mother, please answer me. Mother, say something to me. Oh mother, they say, Amir al-Mu'mineen says, I swear by the Messenger of Allah that I heard a sigh from Fatima al-Zahra, and she reached out and hugged al-Hasan wal-Hussein. And then he hears a message from the heavens. They say, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, take al-Hasan and Hussein away from the body of Fatima, for surely all of the angels of the heavens are crying at this sight of al-Hasan and Hussein, crying at the body of their mother. Fatima al-Zahra was then taken. Amir al-Mu'mineen takes her towards the grave, the site where he would bury her, where nobody would know where she is. He places her back into this grave near to her father Rasulullah sallallahu alayhi wa alihi wa sallam, and he looks at the grave of Rasulullah. He says to him, لَقَدْ اسْتُرْجِعَتِ الْوَدِيعَ, I have returned the trust, Ya Rasulullah. This trust that you gave me, like I returned her to you in Medina, except this time I have returned her with a broken rib, Ya Rasulullah. I have returned her to you oppressed. He places her in, and Amir al-Mu'mineen begins to recite Quran as Fatima had asked him to recite Quran. They are sitting there together. She is in her grave, and Amir al-Mu'mineen is reciting the Holy Quran, and it is as if he falls asleep. And in his sleep, he sees Fatima come to him. What does she tell him? She says, Oh Ali, get up and go back home. Why, oh Fatima? She says to him, I'm afraid Zainab has woken up and she is looking for you and her mother, and she can't find neither of us. Amir al-Mu'mineen rushes back home to comfort Sayyidah Zainab salawatullahi alayha. But howbeit, Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, on the day of Ashura, when Sayyidah Zainab salawatullahi alayha is alone, one of the poets, he says that Fatima al-Zahra hid behind the door when they attacked her house because she had no hijab. But Sayyidah Zainab, what did she hide behind? The pillars of smoke from the burning tents. Sayyidah Zainab salawatullahi alayha alone in Karbala, with no helper, with no one there for her, in the last moments of the life of her beloved brother. Imam al-Hussein salawatullahi alayhi gets ready to go into combat. And this is something, when we remember the martyrdom of Sayyidah Zahra salawatullahi alayha, we remember the martyrdom of Aba Abdullah al-Hussein. La yawm ka yawmaka ya Aba Abdullah. Imam al-Hussein salawatullahi alayhi mounts his horse and he gets down to get ready for combat. And as he is leaving, it is as if there is that moment when Sayyidah Zainab salawatullahi alayha calls towards him and says to him, slow down. So slow down, O son of my mother. Imam al-Hussein slows down. She says to him, get off your horse, O Aba Abdullah. Aba Abdullah dismounts from his steed and he stands next to Sayyidah Zainab. Sayyidah Zainab comes close to Imam al-Hussein salawatullahi alayhi. She takes a moment to smell his neck and to kiss his neck, the place where the swords will fall upon it. She takes a moment to smell and kiss his chest, the place where the hooves of the horse would crush. And then she turns towards Medina and she says to her mother, Oh mother, I have fulfilled the trust. Because Fatima al-Zahra salawatullahi alayha had entrusted Sayyidah Zainab that on the day of Ashura, when nobody is with Imam al-Hussein, he has no helper and no one to see him, that I want you to do this, to smell and kiss his neck and his chest, this position of where he will be hit and where he will be harmed. They say when Amir al-Mu'mineen salawatullahi alayhi was washing the body of Fatima al-Zahra salawatullahi alayha. They said that as he passed his hand over the ribs of Fatima al-Zahra, and he felt one of the ribs has broken. Amir al-Mu'mineen began to cry because she had never complained. Ya Amir al-Mu'mineen, how will it be that if one rib was broken and you had to sit down and cry, how will it be if you were to see the crushed ribs of Abu Abdullah al-Husayn on the day of Ashura? وَسَيَعْلَمُ الَّذِينَ ظَلَمُوا أَيَّ مُنْقَلِبٍ يَنْقَلِبُونَ وَالْعَاقِبَةُ لِلْمُتَّقِينَ. Ya Allah, we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to hasten the reappearance of our holy Imam Ajalla Farj Sharif. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept our deeds and have mercy on our dead and to cure our sick. We ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to keep us on this righteous path of Muhammad wa ali Muhammad, Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ali Muhammad, and to make us of the people who attain the shafa'ah and intercession of Fatima. We ask Allah to protect our youth and our daughters and our sisters from all harm, inshaAllah, and to guide our youth, our brothers and sisters, our sons and daughters into the path of modesty, the path of Fatima salawatullahi alayha. Wa akhir da'wana alhamdulillahi rabbil alameen. Rahim Allah man qara surah al-Mubarak al-Fatiha wa ahda thawabaha ila arwah al-mu'minina wal-mu'minat tasbiq as-salat ala Muhammad wa ali Muhammad.